Hi everyone, how you going? So I'm just going to just wait and see here. My thing's loose again. I'll just wait for the connection to drop in. See how we go. Oh, I've got my connection. I'm just waiting to see. Okay, so I've got some updates on the lady from Kalgoorlie. In regards to, so far, nothing from Centrelink or CDC, apart from the social worker has called her psychologist and wanting to know if she's a danger to her children on the medication he's put her on, which is absolutely ludicrous. They're clutching at straws every which way here, but still no answer about getting her off the card. So, talking to her this morning, and it's just horrendous what the whole system is putting her through, right? It's just absolutely horrendous what's going on with this lady in Kalgoorlie. So, as you know, they've got this lady, she's a New Zealand national, and they're trying not to let her off the card. Now, her payments end in August anyway. But she's been through horrific domestic violence. Horrific, right? And so this is just getting beyond a joke. How can I put this? Anne Ruston's supposed to be the Minister for Women's Safety. Yet she's had an incident where her ex, who has a VRO order against him, who's supposed to stay a kilometre away from them, is not supposed to go to the IGA where she shops, right? Turned up at the IGA and abused her. She ran inside and they called the police. Kalgoorlie police let him go. Let him just walk off. He breached that VRO order, right? And he was allowed to just walk away. Now, she can't go anywhere. She can't escape because her money's locked up on the cashless debit card. All right, she hasn't got the money for a hotel room. And normally in the past, she would have gone to a hotel room for the night. But then the police just expected her to just walk home. And she's like, as if he'll be waiting at the end of the street. He's in a car. We're on foot. I'm pushing a pram with a baby. Right? They begrudgingly gave her a lift home. Like she said to me before, in the past when he's done this, she doesn't normally go home. She books them into a hotel room, right? Because she knows that he's going to go round to her house and start again, right? And she had to put up with crap being thrown on the roof and at the house and somebody doing a burnout at the back just to stir her up that night. You know what I mean? It is just ridiculous what's going on. What's going on with Kalgoorlie police that a man that's convicted of such a crime against this woman and a VRO that says he's not allowed within 1,000 metres of them, right? And he's not allowed to go to that IGA because he used to harass them if they went to Coles in town and stuff like that. But they just go give him a warning and tell him to walk off when he's breached the VRO, right? Why hasn't he been deported yet? After all, everybody else who's a non-Australian citizen who commits a capital offence that he did, right, in trying to kill this woman, right, and served his 12 months, why is he getting special treatment? Why didn't he get deported? This is what we want to know. Why has his boss covered his ass? Why has his boss paid for a barrister against her for their custody and their divorce settlement, right? And on top of all this, she's got the crap from Centrelink, her job agency. Well, for some reason, New Zealand nationals are not entitled to be able to receive family payment, as in parenting payment. She gets family tax A and B, and at the moment, all that's locked on the cashless debit card. So she's surviving on the 20% from her job seeker, okay? So job seeker is all she's allowed to get, which is ridiculously low. She's just discovered they've been auto-directing $30 a fortnight in tax payments. She didn't know that. She's just found that on her statement, right? And because she's only eligible for the payment for 6 months, she started in February and it ends in August, right? And the result is that, I mean, basically, we're talking about a woman who's living on $9,427.50 for 6 months payments. That's included her COVID supplements. All right? And her job agency is making her walk 2 hours each way every week to go for a 15-minute appointment. Why can't they do it over the phone? Oh, why don't you catch a taxi, they say. She hasn't got the money, right? Now, she's done everything right, and this week she's been really harassed, okay? She has to look for 15 jobs a week, all right? And this is not a guy, Susan Thompson. This is a single mother with a 1-year-old baby and an 11-year-old boy who is being put through hell. And yes, I am absolutely appalled at what's going on with the family from Beerwilla, and they should be home in Beerwilla, but this is not the place, thank you. I'm not being mean, right? Susan Thompson here. I'm talking about a woman who is being, a New Zealand national who is being picked on, right? Driven off a cliff, being abused by our system at every level. I'm not finished here with what's going on with the job agency, right? She's done her 15 job search for the month. She's uploaded it all. She's screenshotted it all. She's done everything right. Today they've wiped it from the whole lot because she has to see a psychiatrist in order to see one, right? I'm mad at the whole lot too, Susan. I really am. But this lady has to rely on being able to see a psychiatrist, and it's a fly-in doctor, okay? She can't just cancel that appointment. But her job agency scheduled her appointment for the same time and said, oh, well, you'll just have to rebook your psychiatrist appointment. No, she's not going to do that. So now all of a sudden, all of her job search for the month has been cleared from the record. It's vanished, and she's being threatened with her payments being cut off for failure to do her job search activities. But luckily for her, she screenshotted them with time and date of upload and everything. But that's not the point, right? They're taking tax money out without her consent or without her knowledge. She's only just found that out. They make her walk to this damn job agency every week, right? Why? With a baby. She can't get parenting payment. So she's still got a job search with a 1-year-old baby. She's expected to take the 1-year-old baby to job interviews and to the job agency and everywhere. They won't even do her resume for her. They won't even help her with doing a resume. They won't help her get a driver's license back, right? None of that, okay? And she didn't lose her driver's license because she did anything wrong. She just couldn't afford to renew it, all right? And she hasn't got a car. And by placing her on the cashless debit card and in the situation that they're in, right, her landlord made it very clear he will not house them. He will not rent to them if they're on the card because he's had bad problems with the previous tenant who was on Indu, right? And the result is this is getting ridiculous. Now, I don't know what's going on here, but this woman is just being traumatized. But it's not just the job agency, it's the school as well. Now, she doesn't want to... Okay, the social worker from the CDC told her to pull her boy out of school. Why? He's doing well at school. It's his support base. He's got his friends there. He's been heavily traumatized by the domestic violence, right? And at this time, he's had to stop seeing his therapist and stop playing his footy because she can't afford the costs, right? So the only thing that he's got is his schooling. CDC staff are saying rip him out of school. What for? It's not going to help him, right? Then you've got school ringing her up. There's a school camp coming up. It's $568. She can't afford it. School keeps ringing her up and abusing her and carrying on about how dare she deny her son the opportunity. And today they're on her case again, telling her to go and ask for the charities in town to pay for a school excursion. Right? The school does not take the Indu card, by the way. Even if she did activate it, they still don't take the Indu card. Right? It's all right, Susan. It's okay. But this is just driving me nuts because she's being attacked at all levels, from the school, right, from Centrelink, right, from job agency, the screwing around with all the social workers, and then there isn't a social worker, then there is a social worker, and all the personal attacks. But today, right, was probably one of the worst, where the ex breached the VRO that's in place and the police just let him walk away. Right, leaving her on the street, expecting her to walk home. And he's in the car and he can drive down the street, keep abusing them, right? He can go to their house because of the fact that they won't let her off this damn card, and they should do it now, right? There's nothing stopping them from reversing their decision. She comes off of the trigger payment in August anyway. So why make her homeless? That's what my argument is. Why deliberately make this family homeless when you don't need to? They've got a home to stay in for now. The landlord is happy with them as long as they can pay the rent, which they can do under normal circumstances. But at the moment, they couldn't pay the rent because as soon as he got notification that she was going on InduCard, he can't deal with that anymore. And that's not his fault. He's not a bad owner. He's written a perfectly legitimately honest letter stating he does not give Centrelink, Indu, or their stakeholders, right, consent. You know what I mean? This is getting ridiculous, how this woman is just being tortured and tortured and tortured. I mean, a couple of days ago, she was being told it could take 30 days for them to make a decision, right? In that 30 days time, she'll be homeless 4 days later if they don't take her off the card. Now, along this journey, people have contacted the New Zealand consulate, and this lady's actually had Jacinda Ardern's office contact her. She's spoken to Jacinda Ardern, and the reply that came back was apparently Jacinda tried to contact Anne Ruston, and Anne Ruston wasn't available. So now the New Zealand Foreign Affairs Minister is getting involved. How many more people are going to be getting involved with this case? Why can't they just take her off the damn card and leave her in peace? She's got, 10 more weeks of legal payments before her job seeker cuts off anyway. Leave her alone. Just get her off the card. You know? This crap from the job agency. Why can't they just accept an over-the-phone appointment? You know, it's getting crazy. And like she said to me, you know, how dare one of their social workers ring up her psychologist and ask if she's in danger because she's on medication? Do you know how many people have been put on this card are now on medication? All right? And they're not on one medication. They end up on 2 or 3 or 4 or quadrupled. All right? So many women I speak to that are put onto this card end up under a mental health care plan, and they end up medicated. Right? They're put onto antidepressants, anti-anxiety tablets, and diazepam, Valium, whatever you want to call it, the works, because of the stress and the crap they have to go through, right? But they're making this woman's life even harder, and they're putting her safety at risk, right? You know, Tim says here, so if she gets cut off payments, do all the money automatically go back to her normal account? No, it'll sit there in limbo, right? As Rowan found out, because she hasn't activated the card, and Indu's attitude will be, is you don't have a contract with us. That's what they did to Rowan several years ago. Do you know what I mean? And his money's still stuck in Indu accounts 4 years later, right? And he's no longer on a payment. He got kicked off his payment because he was living on his 20% and he couldn't pay his phone bill, and his phone got cut off, and he missed a CDP appointment, and they cut him off his New Start payment at the time, and he's never bothered to reapply and reclaim it. He's actually living off-grid, off payments, as a 60-year-old who's already done time as a reserve in the army and stuff like that. He told them to stick it up their ass, basically. But this woman's not in a position to do that. She's got a 1-year-old baby and an 11-year-old boy, right? and she just wants her life back. This is just crap. And they're putting her more at risk, right? Because she can't leave town. She can't just get up and move. They've suggested some stupid things to this lady. Oh, why don't you leave town? Why don't you take your kid out of school? Why don't you get a taxi? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And it's like, it's going on and on and on and on. Enough already, right? You know, so at the moment, there's so many people getting involved with this. I know that there's federal senator involved as well. And she's trying to go through welfare rights advocacy and everything like that, because there's limits to what we can do at this end, or we can't do a lot. And I will say, thanks to you guys, right, we did the GoFundMe. We raised enough money, just over $1,550, which has covered her rent until the 10th of July, I believe, which is fantastic. She's already paid that up, and a little bit was left over for her to be able to buy some food and stuff. So, but basically, Anne Ruston needs to be pulled into account here. This woman can't flee anywhere. She can't pay for a hotel on the card, right? And under normal circumstances, when she's had this problem in the past with her ex breaching the VRO, right, she's gone and stayed at a hotel overnight to keep everybody safe. She didn't have that last night. You know what I mean? And that's not fair because of this crap that's going on with the card. You know, the job agency, they won't do their job. I mean, for God's sakes, when a senator's offering to do the resume for her, not her job to do it, it's the job agency's job to do it. They're being paid, right? And whoever skills employment is, pull your finger out and stop making this single mum walk 2 hours each way. You know damn well it's friggin' cold at the moment, and making her leave home at 7 a.m. for 9 a.m. appointments, and then trying to make her dump a psychiatric appointment where the doctor has flown in to town for that appointment. No. Sorry. All right. She's quite within her rights to attend her medical appointment. That is a good enough reason to not attend a job search or job agency appointment. They need to change it. All right. They need to change that job agency appointment. Instead, all of a sudden, all of her jobs go missing that she's uploaded for this month, wiped clean, and she's now being threatened with payment suspension. All right? This is abuse. Just straight out abuse. But, right, on top of this, Kalgoorlie police, what the bloody hell are you playing at? Right? This guy cut this woman's throat and strangled her. Her 11-year-old son had to fight the dad off to get the knife off of him. Right? He did 12 months in jail plus fines, protected by his mining company boss. Right? He's got his job back. He's not paying child support. And even when they did try to do an assessment, for a guy who earns $100,000 a year, $63 was the assessment a month. And he still won't damn well pay it. And he hasn't done a tax return in 4 years. She's being screwed over every which way. But her life is at risk. Right? He tried to kill her. And they let him walk up the street and just walk away. Go away. Alright? He should have been arrested on the spot for the breach of VRO. He should have been deported instead of being let out of jail and go back to his $100,000 a year job. And he got bailed to the house. So her and the kids, at the time she did have a car, had to sleep in the car for 6 weeks because he got bailed to the house. So he got his job back and he got the house back. Right, he's got 2 cars of his own. She had to try and work with a newborn and get set up again to get into the house that she's in. And once she got into that house, then she had to sell the car so she could buy beds and stuff like that she needed. All right? This is just, what's going on here is just off the planet. And it's not good enough. It is just not good enough. Anne Ruston, you're the Minister for Women's Safety. Take this damn woman off the card and stop blocking her from fleeing. So when she needs to flee to a hotel to keep her and her kids safe, let her do it. Because you're blocking her from doing it. And all she's getting from CDC staff is, you need to activate the card. No, she's been told by 2 medical specialists and her lawyer, do not activate the card. She's following her medical advice and her legal advice from her lawyer. Right? Simple as that. Right? For a social worker at Centrelink to question the qualifications of a psychologist. Right? Even to the point of a social worker from the CDC team suggesting, does he live in Australia? Is he Australian? Does he speak English? I beg your pardon? Right? This is just beyond. This is crazy. You know what I mean? Amanda Tesler sharing. One thing that came out of the last couple of weeks was they've changed judges in Kalgoorlie and the stay order has been lifted regarding her being able to leave with the kids. Right? But she can't go anywhere because she hasn't got enough money. Until this is resolved, right, she can't do anything. She's paralysed. But she's copying abuse from everywhere. The school, Centrelink, job agencies. Right? This is just going on and on and on. And then to find out today that she's been actually paying $30 a fortnight tax on her piddly little job seeker payment. So I said to her, you better go back into Centrelink when you can. But it's a 2-hour bloody walk again, you know what I mean? Oh, so I said, when you're next in, just tell them to stop taking the tax out. She'll have to try and claim that money back at the end of the year. Right? And meanwhile, CDC's just stringing her along. And I don't know why. I mean, they tried to get her to cancel her application for wellbeing exemption and start again. And it's like, no. You know, no. You know, this is just ludicrous what they want to do. Do you know what I mean? Under normal circumstances, she would have gone to a hotel when she's run into her ex so that he can't come to the house and harass her more, right? Because he's broken the VRO before. But nobody's doing anything about it. They didn't even write a note about it. You know, it's just disgusting what they're doing. And I'm just sick of it. I really am. And I hope you guys out there are too. And Anne Ruston, I'm sick of her putting women and kids at risk of homelessness or not being able to get away or holding against people. So like from Mahalia, can't pay rent. She tried to pay rent today and it declined. Why is that not a surprise? So then she rings them up and it's like, oh, there's a technical problem now. We can't get it to allow it anymore. Well, we might be able to do a temporary allowance. What? Here we go again, back on the treadmill. Right? Alright? At the moment, don't stress, Kelly, at the moment. We're just working through all this stuff, alright? No, Lynette, we've just done a GoFundMe for her month's rent. Right? She's hoping to use other money. We've got to get her off this card first, okay? And then she will do things the way she needs to do them. They're all pushing her to take her 11-year-old out of school. That's his only support network where his friends are, and he's doing well in school. So she doesn't want to disrupt that, all right? So she doesn't want to take him out now and then move him somewhere else. She wants to wait until he starts high school, which is next year. Do you know what I mean? Or soon, you know what I mean? Or just get out. But normally she can bolt. Under normal circumstances, she could go and stay in a hotel for the night, stay away from where her ex is, and, you know, not have to put up with any crap if he comes near the house. She doesn't have that freedom to do that. Right? She doesn't have that freedom to do that at the moment. Yeah, it's just going on beyond stupidity. Meanwhile, I'm just going to punch in a message to someone here as well. So, this is just beyond a joke. So, Mahalia can't pay rent. She couldn't buy food on Sunday, right, last week. Not this Sunday, just gone. Hang on, yeah, Wednesday, Sunday. The one before, right, last Sunday. She couldn't buy food. We put that update up. She can't pay rent again today. It declined. And then she had an interview with her opt-out social worker, who was going to put through a recommendation that she be taken off the card. And if she had any other problems, she could ring back and ask for that social worker. So she tried to do that today because the rent's failed again, right? And whoever she rang today, oh, we can't put you back through to that social worker. Apparently they need to set up another temporary housing limit, which makes no sense because they approved the housing limit last Thursday, right? And yeah, so they're claiming it might work tomorrow. And it's like, well, it was due today and she paid it last fortnight on a Wednesday. They're just stuffing everybody around. So apparently they came back and said the computer was not authorising them to do it and they had to ring tech. You know what I mean? You know, yeah, so this is crazy. Yeah, going back to the lady in Kalgoorlie, everybody's pushing to take her 11-year-old out of school. But yeah, the minute she does, then bam, child protection comes in. You know what I mean? So she's leave that kid in school, leave him with the supports he's got with his friends and the stability of that. Right, because they're asking all these questions of her psychologist. Is she a threat to her children? Which she's not. Today, they even asked her psychologist, does she drink or take drugs? Which she doesn't. The only medication she takes is what they've prescribed since they've started on this ordeal 3 or 4 weeks ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, so it's just gone beyond a joke. It's just gone beyond stupidity, and this woman's safety is at risk. She is terrified. He nearly killed her and the police just let him walk away. And where's Anne Ruston? Oh, I'm the women for women's safety, domestic violence, blah, blah, blah. But the card traps women and children in domestic violence. It makes sure they can't just run and book into a hotel, right? Because they don't have the money, they don't have the cash or access to the cash. All right, in the short period that this lady's been on the card, it's already over $1,000 is stuck on the card, okay? And it's racking up every fortnight. The family tax payments going on the card at 100%. And 80% of her pretty little job seeker. I mean, she was trying to work out how to do her end-of-year tax estimates for Centrelink. And, yeah, I mean, she hasn't even got $10,000 worth of benefits to declare. And that's including her COVID supplements. Because for some reason, New Zealand nationals aren't eligible for parenting payments. All right? So she's expected to drag a 1-year-old to the job agency and Centrelink and job interviews, right? And everything out in the cold. You know what I mean? Oh, for heaven forbid. And then they go, oh, well, why don't you put her into childcare? Because there's a 4-year wait in Kalgoorlie to 2023 is the lease opening for 4 centres. And then, why don't you pay for a private carer? A private carer, because they forget. Everybody works in the mines in Kalgoorlie and they're all rich. Well, they assume people are. But the people who don't work in the mines aren't rich. All right? But because the majority of people earning $100,000 or more, you know. So, Julie, I've already told her to do that as well. The whole situation is very overwhelming. I try not to sort of like pile everything on. It's just too much. It really is. This woman's amazingly strong, but this is just, it's just, oh. yeah, it's gone beyond stupidity. So, that's the update for now for the lady in Kalgoorlie and for Mahalia. I'm just gobsmacked that, you know, all these women have fled domestic violence. It's held against them. All right. Mahalia was rejected for an opt-out because she accessed advance payments. You know, the payments you get every year. I can get 2 a year on a DSP. Other parents can get advance payments on their family tax. And because a parent, advance payments to get the airfares to flee domestic violence in Hervey Bay, that's held against them because you had an emergency payment. Well, it's not an emergency payment, it's an advance payment. All right, and then, too many declines. Yeah, your card doesn't work to buy damn food. All right, you can't buy petrol or use it at the post office in the town you're living in. It declines everywhere. All right? You know? So, Sophie says she was rejected an exit application because she accessed $222, right, which was an emergency payment to flee, and it didn't even, she accessed $222 on an Indu card. Remember, they put Sophie on the Indu card in Hinkler, and it didn't even cover her fuel to get into state. I'm just going through the comments here. So I think we need to blow this up. The police need to pull their finger out. All right? They need to pull their finger out in regards to protecting this lady. All right? He's already got away with harassment too much at the Coles and other places around Kalgoorlie and outside the court and stuff like that. He keeps getting away with it. All right? Yeah, so, I'm just trying to keep up with the comments, but they keep jumping around here. I'm just, something's going on with my comments here. I scroll them up, they're scrolling back down, I can't read them. Sorry guys, I'm trying. I know what we can do. All we can do basically is ring the minister's office and be a pain. She has a psychiatrist, a psychologist, a doctor and a lawyer all putting in supporting evidence to get her off the card. All right? And even Jacinta Ardern has been brought into this from New Zealand, and they're not doing anything in a hurry. All right? If anything happens to this woman and her children, we will go right off our chops. All right? And Anne Ruston, you're the Minister for Women's Safety, then do something about this. All you've got to do is ring the CDC department and say, take her off the card. That's it. And it can be done. We know it can be done because we've had people that you've done it. Where all of a sudden, bingo, it's done. It's done before the person even knew it had been done. And their money was back in their account before they were even notified that they had been taken off the card. All right? And you've done it just recently for a lady, and you've done it in 3 weeks. 2 weeks notice of her money was going on the card, back on the card for a second time. And the day after the first payment went through, she was removed from the card. All right? Stop torturing Mahalia and this lady from Kalgoorlie. All right? It's not good enough. So, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to leave you guys with that. That's the update at the moment. I wish it could be better news. I'm hoping that, you know, there'll come a phone call saying that she's off. I'm waiting for that phone call to come. Or are they just going to do this out of spite and make this family homeless? You know what I mean? That's just because one of the reasons she was given by a social worker was that being homeless was no excuse for not being on the card. Excuse us? They're making her homeless. Right? They made Tempest homeless. And they're saying that being made homeless by them isn't a good enough reason to be released from the card. You know, and snide comments like, oh, well, how would it affect yours and your child's mental health if you were made homeless? I mean, who says that? Right? Or why don't you ask the taxi driver, I'm not going to get over this one. Why don't you ask the taxi driver if he'll give you a cheaper fare? Try and negotiate for a cheaper fare. If you saw my last live on my personal page about that, I was a cab driver many moons ago, and boy, oh boy, it's not a good idea for a woman to walk up to a cab driver and say, can you give me a freebie or can we negotiate? Trust me, you don't do that. You don't do that. And just to make sure it's very clear, state government sets down the rate of the fares for taxis, not the owner, not the driver. The state government set the fare rates for taxis, okay? And they're not negotiable, right? But to even suggest to somebody that you go and negotiate, what has she got to negotiate with? She hasn't got any money. I was absolutely mortified. I don't care if the little person's just straight out of uni, who's a little greenie, you know, as in like green wet behind the ears, doesn't know the connotation of suggesting something like that to a woman with a baby with no money. All right? That was horrific. I was gobsmacked. The gaslighting that put this woman through, it's got to stop. Right? And now, with the police not acting on taking the VRO seriously and letting her ex come and harass her again. But funnily enough, Our Lady in Ceduna, right, Medicare and MyGov just let him have all, her perpetrator got all her details. He was able to access her MyGov account and find out everything. You know? And it's just like, this is, what are they doing? Right? They're letting people that have seriously hurt women and children. Right? The lady in Ceduna, what sort of father beats up a 3-year-old? Right? And I've got the photos. And it was bloody horrendous what he did to her and her 3-year-old at the time. His own 3-year-old. What sort of sick person does that? Right? And then when Centacare forced her to go to Ceduna and put on the card, they didn't notify her that she had to transfer and get a new restraining order because it's a different state. Now she can't even get a restraining order on him. Right? And now, because the restraining order from WA has been lifted after 2 years, all of a sudden, through Medicare and accessing MyGov, he found her and he started texting her. Right? So she's not safe anymore. You know, plus all the crap she's been through with the local community and the pro-card businesses that, oh, how dare you bring our town into disrepute because 1,080 families can't buy shoes in that town, and because she helped somebody do a big fundraiser and they bought 300 pairs of shoes for the kids that some of them had never had new shoes. And what was the payback from that community for that? Her house got broken into, it got trashed, all of her sensory learning aids for her disabled child was stolen, everything was taken, I've since learned her laptop was stolen as well. I didn't know that at the time. And then the other lady who was working for Save the Life, Save the Children Foundation, that was helping with this, her house got broken into, but they went one step further. They killed the dog. All right? This is bullying. This is harassment. This is not keeping women and children safe. Okay? At all. You know, it's not good enough. And I've got women coming at me from all over the place, and all of the people I've spoken to have fled domestic violence. Right? The reason why I can't mention people's names is for privacy sometimes. You know, sometimes I've got to change but this lady is like beside herself. She doesn't think it's good enough, and I don't think it's good enough either. So anyway, guys, there's our update for now. I'll keep you informed if anything else happens. I've got a couple of other people having problems with the card as usual. I've got a lady who lives in Calliope off grid. Oh, because she drives the 3 hours every weekend to go and see her child in Bundaberg, and her ex decided to do some work for some farming. So she went and lived in a tent in Childers while he was doing that, so she could look after the child so he could do the work for the farmers. And she got stuck on the card when she shouldn't have been. And now she's back up in Calliope living off grid, and they're trying to suggest that that's not safe for the child. The child doesn't even live with her, but she's back to driving backwards and forwards to Bundaberg to see her child, but they won't let her off the card. But she can't buy firewood, which is critical when you live off grid. You need wood. You know what I mean? She's trying to renovate her property. She has to get permission every time she wants to buy something. She can't buy her fruit and veg from her normal people, and she's got to drive hours to get to a supermarket, right? This is just, again, more trauma for people. More making life so difficult when it doesn't need to be. But they trapped her on it because she was living in a tent at the time. I'm just, yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. So, Justine Elliott, MP, if you want to go over to her page, right, she's just tweeted, because she put up a post on the Facebook page. Now, I must admit, the meme is a little bit out there. We're not posting that particular meme. It's a little bit wonky. It's not our thing, right? But the message to the government is, I will not be silenced, right? And she's just posted on Twitter, my electorate office today received a call from a senior ministerial staffer in the Morrison government demanding I take down my Facebook post in relation to the Morrison government's cruel plan to force pensioners onto the cashless welfare card. Now, let me just clarify something here. They've changed their wording. They've hidden things, right? People in the Cape York who are age pensioners are subject to the restrictable payment on the age pension up to 100% quarantine. That was in the legislation. And for a short period, it was on the DSS website for the Cape York that there's no age limit. There's no age cap. Which, you know, it tells you, no age cap. But they've changed all the wording, so I wish I'd got a screenshot of that at the time, right? They've changed that wording. So they're trying to hide the fact that they've already started putting age pensioners on the cashless debit card in the Cape York region, okay? That is part of that Cape York program. Now, you've got a situation where in the Northern Territory, you've got people who don't have birth certificates, right? And due to that, they're not eligible for age pension. But they've been on the basics card, And whatever payment they were on when they sort of changed to became of age, basically, like the oldest one I heard about was at the Darwin Set inquiry. They were talking about a guy who was on Job Seeker at 86 years of age on the basics card, right? And another guy that was on DSP at 79 years of age on the basics card. Now, in all of the trial regions, it says that people on age pension can volunteer, right? But I don't know anybody who would volunteer in their right mind, or they can use the Vulnerable Persons Act. Okay? It is obvious. Okay, so they haven't put age pension down yet. But do remember, let's go back a bit here. 2016, the cashless debit card was going to be a 1-year trial for the community of Ceduna only. Okay? It wasn't going to go anywhere else. It wasn't going to spread anywhere else. It was going to be a 12-month trial. And originally, it was supposed to be targeted to the 67 people in the community that needed something because the basics card didn't work, apparently, according to Alan Tudge. But when they rolled it out blanket to everybody up to age 67, including DSP, carers, AB study, right? OS study, you know, all payments. So when asked directly, Anne Ruston has refused to rule out age pension on a wider national rollout. What does that say? That conversation's long gone. See, Alan Tudge and Keith Pitt used to say, oh, we're never going to put the pensioners on it. But they've done it in the Cape York. It's called a foothold situation, okay? All right? It wasn't supposed to be more than a 12-month trial. But now look at it. 13,000 people are on the card at the moment. And they're trying to push another 23,000 in the Northern Territory. All right? So far, they've managed to get 50 to volunteer for their cashless debit card in the Northern Territory. Because everybody else is being smart and staying on their basics card because they don't want to give up their legal rights. They don't want to give up their privacy, their autonomy, and all that sort of stuff. Amanda Tesla sharing the Justine Elliott MP is the MP. And so they're trying to bully her by the sound. Somebody just sent me this in message. I'll see if I can find it on Twitter, on the thread. Just hang on a minute, because it's funny. Yeah, I just, yeah, they use the term participants as if it applies that there was a choice to participate when there is not a choice. People are not willing participants of this program. I can assure you of that. And we've got the trolls out and about, the ones that were out before. Out they come, they're resurrecting, right? Saying that, you know, the card is voluntary. Oh, like Pauline Hanson says, oh, for anybody over 36, they can volunteer for it. And it doesn't apply to invalid pensions. It's like, Pauline, she calls people who are the cashless debit card on disability support pensions that are 62 years of age, ring her office, and she calls them a liar. She says, no, you're not on it. You're not on it. And we've sent them photos of people holding their cashless debit cards. No invalid pensioners are on it. No, there's no invalid pension anymore. It's the DSP, Pauline. Wake up, right? It's just, oh. Okay, so Justine, I'm going on to the Twitter. All right, she's put here, I will not be silenced. Hang on, okay. I will not be removing the post, and I will continue to speak out every day in every forum about the Morrison government's cruel attacks on pensioners, cuts to Medicare and the aged care crisis. For future reference, Morrison government ministerial staffers, I will not be silenced by you or your Prime Minister. Boom, boom, boom. Well done. Now she's just got to get her information just a bit better, explain it a bit better, right? Don't give them any loopholes, right? Because she's, you know, we're not stupid. If they get into another election, they will roll this card out. They will go for our youth straight away. In the Minderoo submission, they wanted all under 25s youth allowance straight up. All of them. That's nearly 300,000 of our kids rolled out to, right? And then they're talking about using the Hinkler model, right, which is the under 36s. They're not saying whether it would be the same payment structure, which is job seeker, youth allowance and parenting payment, or whether it would be all payments under 36 on the card across the whole country. Again, that's hundreds of thousands of people, right? Of course, they're going to leave the pensioners to last, but isn't it logical? You know, it's been a creeping cancer across the country, and each time it's expanding, it's taking in more and more people. If it was about jobs, why are people with disabilities on it? Why are carers on it? You know what I mean? Why are they targeting your kids the minute they come out of high school? You know? So I do think well done to this lady for standing up and saying she will not be silenced. Alright? Good on her. You know, and like I said, the only problem we have with the meme is it was Ruston, not Morrison, that said that in the article. Right? But when she was directly asked, she would refuse to roll out pensions going on it. You know, however, a staffer from Gillespie's office, LNP, right, got a little bit irate with one lady, and he let slip that the pensioners were going to be put on it for their own good, right, for their own safety. Okay, that was the reason he gave to somebody to explain why, you know, so you can work from it from there. But then section, thank you, there's a lot of people adding a lot of stuff now. So 9, subsection 124PD1 after paragraph A, insert. In relation to trial participant, a payment of kind listing in paragraph number 2, an age pension or a social security bereavement payment or a distance education payment, or all listed under subsection 124PD1. Okay? It's there in the legislation as a restrictable payment. It doesn't take much to turn it into a trigger payment. And if you get real technical, and I don't want to confuse people here, but if you look up the income management trigger payments, the basics card trigger payments, you'll see that age pension and not DVA, but defence pensions are on it. So for income management basics card. So yeah. You know, how dare they tell another MP to take stuff down? When they put up so much QAnon shit, and they put up straight out lies on their pages. There's a difference here. But to be bullying a female MP, demanding that she take it down, why? This government likes to bully women, doesn't it? Maybe I should not go there. Oh, something springs to mind. Something alleged Alan, Porter. Something. The prayer room, you know what I mean? This government is just disgusting. Misogynistic, bullies, gaslighting women, not keeping women and children safe. Women and children die as a result of these policies, right? And they don't care. Closing and defunding domestic violence services and homeless services, right? And then holding it against people for becoming homeless because of their policies and because they won't let people pay rents, right? You know? Tim Gout says, one thing I've learned in my 50 years is never upset Aussie women, especially single mums. Well, I was a single mum when I heard about this policy. I started this page because I looked at my daughter and went, you're not doing that to her and you're not going to do it to me. People need to know we need to stand up and protect our kids and our grandparents and everybody else. And I know ALP's talking about the pensioners, but they need to also stand up for the rights of the rest of us out here that are at risk, and for the 13,000 currently on the card, and recognise that many of those people have worked 30 and 40 years of their lives, right? The department will not give us the breakdown of how many in their age groups, okay? They'll only give us the breakdown of how many on each payment. So we know which areas on which payments, how many, but we can't work out how many are over 50 that are job seekers or on DSP or carers. That's the breakdown we want. But every time we ask for something, it comes back black, redacted. You know what I mean? So that says it all, doesn't it? They don't want to release any information. So, oh dear. So they're trying to directly bully a Labor MP. How disgusting. Bullying a female Labor MP. Yeah. You know, age pension is already in the legislation as a restrictable payment. And people on age pension and of pensionable age, right, who can't get old age pension, no birth certificates, are on cards right now in the Cape York. Right now. Right? And then Anne Ruston's comment on the 1st of February 2020. It does need to have a broader application than perhaps the social harm reduction that the original policy was designed on. That was Anne Ruston's words. The reason why we haven't done it in the major cities is because we need to deal with this technology issue, which we are now close to resolving, 1st of February 2020. Well, their technology is failing, right? But it's causing hardship, financial ruin, homelessness, mental health decline, and the list goes on, and in some cases, suicide. All right? Yeah, well, enough's enough. They're bullies. We need to stand up to the bullies, okay? So I think we're going to have to start doing something a little bit more physical in the future to stand up to these bullies. So if you've got ideas of what we can do, that's legal, of course. You know what I mean? Or you want to do a protest or something, let's see what we can do. Send your ideas to me. All right? So, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to go and, it's tea time. So I'll let everybody go so you can all go have your dinner. And I suggest we start getting on the phones again. Let Mahalia off the card. All right? As soon as, if I can get permission to use her name, we can do something similar for the other lady in Kalgoorlie. But at the moment, I don't want to expose her name. But at least, you know, educate people. This is horrendous what's going on. Everybody needs, the card needs to stop. Now, not in 2 years' time. No. How dare they bully a female LNP member? I wonder if they're going to take on Julian Hill and people like that. Are they going to issue the threats to all of them? How dare they? That's nearly as bad as Mr. Speaker, posted the member no longer be heard. So they can't speak in Parliament. Now they're trying to shut them down on Facebook. Right? Well, I'm glad to hear that this lady is not going to be silenced. Everybody here knows I won't shut up, right? And I won't shut up. And good on her. In big letters, I will not be silenced. Good on her. Good on her. On that note, I'll say good night to everybody. Stay safe, and we'll talk again later. All right? See ya.